Boom! What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big up to the ER crew, the early regulars who are always here on the check-in. And I appreciate you guys for being here with us on a Friday, summer Friday. I know you guys could be anywhere. Some of you are everywhere, but I appreciate you being here right now with us on a Friday. B. Boyle Joneson, you are number one today. We have a new number one this week. It is not Spook Realm 4Q. His streak has been broken. So let's get to the PSA anyway, real quick. Number one, get the book if you're new to the channel. The link is in the description below. It's the true origin story of BDP. And there's a lot of commentary in there. A lot of the questions that you guys ask on this channel is in the book. The audio book is out. Get it if you don't have it. Link is in the description below. Rule number two, please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm so we can get more like-minded people in the chat, which is always a good thing. Um, hopefully Tracy will remind us later on if she's here. And rule number three, big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. The massive Rewind crew. Okay, let me make this a little bit bigger so I can see. Rosmel, what up? Kenneth Smith, what up? Rod Justice, what up? The Bobby W2, what's up? Today in hip hop history, Master Ace released his debut album, Take a Look Around, on July 24th, 1990. Damn, time flies. That's the album that had the music, man. That was my jam. First of all, shout out to Master Ace, Ace One, good homeboy, straight out of Brooklyn. I believe I was watching an interview with Method Man, and he said he got the METHOD man from the Music Man, that song. So he took METHOD from Hall & Oates, and then he put man from the Music Man and got that song. So he was inspired by Master Ace. And I always see Eminem give Master Ace a lot of props. Just a dope MC, consistent. Shout out to him. Napoleon, what up? Who's talking about the new Rakim joint? I heard a piece of it. It was a snippet, and then I saw the whole thing was out, but I didn't get a chance to really get into it today. But sounds like classic Raw. Straight hip hop beat. I mean, Rakim is gonna be Rakim. My only ever criticism about the God, like I can criticize the God, but is that he doesn't come out that much. Rakim comes out once in a while, every 5, 6, 7 years. He's been a little bit more consistent lately. He'll drop something, but for the most part, if you look at his whole career, which is now 40 years, he hasn't really dropped. He doesn't come out that much, and he's on like a Sade pace. Still good to see that one of our GOATs, some people argue the GOAT, argument could be made, is still rocking. We was just talking about the God last week. Supreme Divine, what up? Bible says Rakim still got it. B-Ball says the new Rakim is fire. Yeah. Spook Realm 4Q has arrived. Let's see. Bobby says, I checked out them epic fails. Dope. I hope everybody has seen all of the epic fails, the regulars. Gregory Nettis says, Yo, Kenny, the reason I didn't put Zodiac and Jack the Ripper on the Mount Rushmore is because people still don't know who they are. Mount Rushmore needs a face. I could see that, but they're so gigantic that I would put the Zodiac. You could just put that he had a mask with a cross on it. You could just put that up there. And Jack the Ripper, I mean, just put a top guy with a top hat, one of them old English top hats. They definitely need to be up. Jack the Ripper is the Godfather, but every Zodiac could be up there. Are y'all up on the smiley face killers? Just gonna throw that out there. People say, KP, I read an interesting fact about serial killers. The USA has had about 3,600 in history, and the next closest is the UK at 10% of that. Yeah, the serial enders and the mass shooters seem to be an American phenomenon, and we don't know why. You could say the firearm culture, some can argue that has something to do with the shooters, but it doesn't explain the overwhelming amount of serial offenders that are in America that are male and that are white males. Why is that? I was watching this thing just earlier today. They was talking about how Long Island has at least 5 or 6 of the recent serial offenders in a close proximity of time, all operating around the same time. What's going on in Long Island? Interesting. Let me move down a little bit. KP, I just read that LA trade Bronny to the Sixers for a second-round pick. I'm gonna get to LeBron in a second, but is that true? I have not seen that. Um, as I was preparing for this live, I have not seen that. Is that true? That would just add to the circus. Um, let's see. So you guys are talking about Houdini. Um, Shout out to I met Ecstasy. Actually, I saw him in a bodega in Brooklyn years after their careers were over, probably like mid to late 90s. Maybe like late 90s. I saw him in a bodega in Brooklyn. Um, that's the only time I ever met him. I believe he was a bus driver towards his later years. Shout out to the great Ecstasy. I met Jalil once. At the I Am Hip Hop BET Awards, KRS-One was winning. I think it was the second one to win a Lifetime Achievement Award. And we were sitting there, and people were just coming over saying, What's up to Chris? Everybody was coming over. This is like '08. Everybody was coming over speaking. And Jalil came over, and he spoke to me too, um, briefly. But my Grandmaster D, that's my dude. If you please, Brooklyn in the house. Big up Grandmaster D. Yo, Kenny, what were the most dangerous years in your hip hop journey? It has to be the 90s, right? No, the 80s. 86, 87, 88, 89 was ridiculous in New York. Well, it coincided with New York being the crime capital of America. And it was the ending capital of America, too, for like 2 decades until DC and them dudes out there decided to take the crown. They started wilding. And all of this coincides, of course, with the crack era. But I remember going to clubs in the 80s was extremely dangerous. I talk about the Latin Quarter, Union Square, the two of the most prominent. hip hop nightclubs in New York in the 80s was so dangerous to go to. So exciting, so dangerous. The early 90s was rugged too, but the 80s was, I have to go with the 80s. Concerts were off the hook. People was getting hurt. That's where self-destruction came from, that whole era. 90s are wild too, don't get it twisted. But I would say late 80s was the worst. Um, let's see. I'm already falling behind. Let me move on a little bit. I see you guys having a conversation, but I get caught up in these conversations and uh people says want to bet what color shirt KP rocking today. Actually, this is the same shirt. I always say that this shirt, this is my A1 Records shirt. Shout out to A1 Records. I was there last week. The collar, I like how the collar fits because it holds this microphone nice. So I've had a bunch of shirts. In the wintertime, I usually wear a sweatshirt, but in the summertime, this shirt has a nice feel to it that holds this mic. So you are guessing correct. Um, let's see. You guys are talking about clothing lines on here. Y'all be having some wild conversations. Uh, the Call Me D Nice album was released 36 years ago today. I did not get a shout out on that album. Come on, D Nice. Um, actually, did he shout me out? Maybe in a song. David also, Kenny, I did not know that Scott LaRock and KRS produced a song by Canadian rapper Michie Mee. Have you met her? Once in Canada. I probably met her in like, we did a show out there in like 90. This is when Mad Ism was out. So this had to be like 94. We did a show in Canada and Michie Mee was there. So I think I met her then. Yeah, Scott is one of his early productions outside of BDP. Um, uh, let me jump. I'm gonna jump down a little bit. Silk Child, as usual, my man KP. What's good, bro? You already know. Like, share, support the brother. Thank you, Silk Child. Um, Bobby said we talked about LeBron earlier, but I want to get into this LeBron for a minute. I'm just trying to catch up on some of these comments. Um, the real Chef Daddy, what up? DJ Joey Joe, what up? Um, Henry Sedillo, what up? Abdullah Muhammad, what up? David Alston, what up? MC Shan said that him and Marley produced Eric B for President. True or false? Oh, I wasn't there, but there's a lot of controversy behind Marley Marl's production in general. I know that it says that MC Shan mixed Eric B as President and Check Out My Melody. And it says that they were laughing at Rakim when he was rhyming. They didn't like his slow, not slow, laid back rhyme style, and like they were laughing at him. Just let's go to show where uh, Shan's head was then, because the first time I heard Check Out My Melody, I lost it. Um, but some people argue that Marley was more of an engineer that can help put records together, dope, if you brought him the samples. So if you allegedly, Eric B said he told Marley Marl that he wanted Over Like a Fat Rat record on top of Funky President by James Brown. He had the idea for the beat. Now, what Marley did was absolutely phenomenal. Instead, he took the drums from Impeach the President, programmed them in the drum machine, made one of the greatest breaks ever, and then played over like a fat rat. On top of that, on a keyboard, the perfect sounds. Um, so I would say they both produced that record. Uh, but I don't know what I would. I've seen contrasting. Barley has a story. Eric B has a story. So I don't know, but I would think they're both of their contributions contributed to one of the greatest records of all time. CMC, what up? What up? Dion Cruz, what up? Joey Joe says rule number 4: at least watch a few of the previous live shows before asking questions, because Kenny probably answered your questions before multiple times in the past. That is true, but some people are new to the channel. So if you're new to the channel, you just discovered the channel this week, welcome. And we will answer your questions again, but it'd be great if people already knew a lot of the answers to the questions that we've gone into. Say what now? I don't recognize that name. What up, KP? What up? Uh, Mike Rock says that Philly Sheet. Philly Sheet, I'd love to get your opinion on all the events today. If dude stays true to character, he's going to want to rip the team up for different pieces. Um, uh, Napoleon says, get the book. The answers to the quiz is in the book. It's an open book test. Remember that from school? Yeah. Remember the open book test? Um, any ICU stories? It's in the book. Gotta get the book. Icon says, sup, KP, we need to come up with a required viewing list for new members. You should watch these videos when you first join. That would be dope if I had listed all the things that we talk about. I don't usually list all the things that we talk about, which is a lot. We be all over the place on this channel. So I wish I could say direct people to certain things, but um, I say the book has a lot of questions in it. Um, the book is my first thing. JT, could this be the LeBron episode? I don't think anyone generally thought he would join Philly. Nope. LeBron ain't winning nothing in Philly. Samuel Gervais, what up? LeBron is going to take Philly by storm. Yes, he is. I agree with that. For better or for worse. Philly Sheed. I think it's hilarious. You think he can help my Sixers win a championship? How helpful was he been? Has he been to the Lakers? Well, he was helpful. They won a championship in 2020, and the Lakers were a lottery team before he got there. So he definitely helped them. You can't put only one championship. I don't like the word only because it is so hard to win a championship. You'd have thought that him and AD would have won more, though. T. Dyson says, you mean other than winning the Lakers their last title? Yeah. Um, Abdul, on R&B tip, I took my wife to see Kim and Tamia last week. Hell of a show. I loved Kim, man. I once saw Tamia. I was going to Sony Studios. I believe for those that have seen my Epic Fails Will Smith story, and I talk about playing Will Smith some beats. It was at Sony Studios. When I was coming in the studio, Tamia was sitting in the lounge. And I looked at her, I was like, oh shoot, that's Tamia. But she didn't say no, she didn't look in my direction or anything. But I remember seeing her in person that day. Let's see. Patrick Wise says, "What up, KP and all the ERs from the home of non-serial offenders, the Northeast Bronx." Are we sure about that? I would love to go deeper into the serial offenders. I'm just not gonna do it because that's a whole conversation. I mean, we can have it, but I would love to have it if you guys want to go there. But I want to get into LeBron in a second. I just want to catch up on some comments. Robert Trowell, what up? Grandmaster D didn't show it on record, but I saw Houdini live and he tore the wheels of steel. Yeah, I seen him live too. Crazy. Dope DJ. Um, See, Patrick, why this is part of my problem too. I think LeBron knew where he wanted to go about 2 weeks ago. The holdup was convincing his wife and daughter. I don't even know if that was the case. Maybe. I think the holdup was because he wanted to make it a moment. Um, let's see. A guy named Rakim 555. It'd be ill if it was the Rakim Allah. Peace, Kenny. What other tracks did Power Dewey produce for KRS? What do you mean by other? You mean other than Love's Gonna Get You? He did like 4 on Sex and Violence. Um, you'd have to look at the credits. I know he did Duck Down, 13 and Good. Uh, he produced the original Black Cop. The Black Cop, as you guys know it, is a remix. Black Cop was supposed to be on Sex and Violence, but didn't make the cut. CMC, the look on KP's face when riding with Joe in the van, and that street worker came up to him and did what she did. I wish you could have seen the face. Get the book, y'all. Get the biz up. Right, Justice, I enjoyed Kenny's book. Read it back in 2022, November to be exact. Thank you so much. I'm going to jump in right here. JT says, here's a question. Whose team is Philly now? Embiid, Maxey, LeBron, Brown. Going to be interesting because Brown and Maxey both like to have the ball. Embiid wants his touches. That is part of the question. Let's look at LeBron for a second, y'all. I've been critical of LeBron on this channel, and I've watched LeBron since he was in high school. And I've said before, he is the most hyped high school athlete and maybe one of the most hyped youngsters coming into the NBA ever. And all he did was exceeded the expectations that was even put on there for him. And many consider him the greatest basketball player of all time. And you can make an argument for that. I personally don't consider him the greatest basketball player of all time. I think LeBron James might be the greatest physical athlete. Not might be, he is the greatest athlete physically we've ever seen. His combination of speed, leaping ability, skill, and IQ has never been seen before, and I don't think we'll see it since. I think Zion Williams is in that athleticism category, but he doesn't have the other qualities. LeBron James, I think if you pick anybody's best 10 years, if you pick like a 10-year, 8 to 10 year period of when somebody was the best, best that they were, their peak years. I don't think LeBron James is way up there, but I don't think his 8 to 10 is the best 8 to 10 I've ever seen. I think Michael Jordan's 8 to 10 is the best I've ever seen. And I'm going to go. Kobe had an incredible run. Abdul Jabbar, incredible. Wilt, these guys. But LeBron is up there too. I think his later years, his later 8 to 10 is the best ever. We've never seen a guy this good, this old. But the problem I have with LeBron James and why I can't have him as the GOAT, and I actually don't care for him, is the story. Part of what makes you great is not only what you did, but how you got there. And how LeBron got to his greatness as far as wins and titles and scoring and all of that has been very questionable to me. Actually, I'm gonna go with suspect. And it started with that when he quit on Cleveland. Let me get back to Cleveland in a second. He quit. I remember watching the Cleveland series. They were up 2 games to 1, cruising, and LeBron just stopped playing. He stopped being aggressive. He stopped shooting the ball. It was like he did not want to be there. And the minute that team lost in the playoffs, he left and did the whole "I'm taking my talents to South Beach" episode. And I remember the rumor was that it came out that one of his teammates had a relationship with his mom's. And dudes was laughing in the locker room or whatever. And when it came out, he quit. I don't know if that's true, but I remember watching those games and I'm like, this dude just quit. Why is he pouting on the court? From that point on, and then the whole "I'm taking my talents to South Beach" and creating a super team turned me off. Some people might like it and people could argue with other super teams, but the fact that he left a team, an Eastern Conference champion level team, that was a contender, to go jump onto another team that won it already, to me, that never sat well with me. And he's had other um, questionable moments, but let's look at 2026 and this decision now that he made to go to Philly. First of all, everybody's saying, why and who and when. I have a theory, and the theory comes down to, in my opinion, from watching all of this. Now, y'all, for those that watch this channel, know that Luka Doncic is my favorite player in the league right now. So I watch LA very closely. It comes down to Austin Reeves. First of all, LeBron James, in my opinion, I am not a doc. I don't have a doctorate in psychology, but I did graduate from college with a degree in psychology, and I like to study people. And I'm no expert, but I think LeBron James is one of the most passive aggressive people as far as narrative and moves in the history of sports. And I'm always suspect of a person whose actions don't match their words. And this is in life. And I want you people to always remember this as a Kenny Parker show theme. The words have to line up with the actions. If someone says things and there's a pattern of how they talk and it doesn't match with the pattern of how they act, be careful of those people. Now, I watched this happen last year. We'll start with the crazy trade that brought Luka Doncic to the Lakers, and that was one of the, I think that's the wildest trade in the history of basketball. And that came out of nowhere, and they traded AD, LeBron's guy. From that moment on, the Lakers were looking at the future, and the future was Luka. Fair enough, the dude was 26 when this happened. LeBron was 40. Have to go in that direction. Now, my first thing with LeBron is the beginning of this season, LeBron says his back hurt. He has sciatica. Could be true, could be not. Some people were saying that LeBron is sitting, he was basically, the Lakers did not offer him an extension. LeBron made $50 million and was looking for an extension, and the Lakers said no. So then LeBron's back started hurting, and he sat out the first 20 games. Some people, including myself, are leaning towards he wanted to show what the Lakers looked like without him. To say, see, y'all think I'm not worth the money. Look. What happened though was that Luka and Austin Reeves took off. Luka was averaging damn near 40, and Austin Reeves was averaging 28, and the Lakers were like 16-4, something like that, 17-5. They were a 2 seed. So they were rolling. Then LeBron comes back and he said, my basketball IQ is so high and I'm so versatile that I can fit in any role. And I just want to come into this team the way they're playing and fit in. Great. That is not what happened. He immediately came in and decided, I'm going back to my role that I had before as 1 or 1A player. Then Austin Reeves got hurt. Luka and LeBron struggled for 2 months trying to figure out who was going to be the guy. The chemistry was way off, and the Lakers looked mediocre. They were a 500 team. Austin Reeves comes back. LeBron's agent, Ron Paul, last name Paul, who started going on all these podcasts. So first of all, why is an agent on a podcast? But he started going on all these podcasts saying things that you gotta believe him and LeBron talked about earlier. LeBron doesn't say anything. He goes, Austin Reeves, that's my boy from when he first came here. But his agent is going, they should trade Austin Reeves and get somebody better for him. Okay, y'all not going to trade him. Y'all should bring him off the bench. He's averaging 28, 6 and 6. Y'all should bring him off the bench and let LeBron control the ball. This is what his agent is saying, but LeBron's going, I don't know where this is coming from. Austin Reeves comes back, and the Lakers are still struggling with LeBron and Luka being 1 and 1A. The coach says, JJ Redick said, LeBron, in order for this team to succeed, you have to become the third option and let Austin Reeves be the number 2. And LeBron said, okay. And he became the third option, and the Lakers took off again with Luka and Austin Reeves thriving and LeBron as the third option. And I remember there was a mic'd up LeBron, or like they called him candid LeBron. A person in the crowd said something to LeBron. He was having a good game, and they said something to the effect of, you still got it, LeBron, or something like that. And he said to the fan, yeah, I still got it. They're making me take a back seat. Something like that, he said. I'm paraphrasing, which means he didn't really feel like he should take a back seat. They told him to Austin Reeves. Season ends. We all know Luka got hurt, Austin Reeves, whatever. Season ends, and it comes time to give the money. They gave a max contract to Austin Reeves, which the Lakers decided that Austin Reeves is going to be the guy, the number two behind Luka. They made the decision, and I think that's when LeBron decided that he was leaving. First, he was like he wanted money, but they wouldn't give him the money. Then he says, "I'm leaving the Lakers," and then he said, "I'm going to go somewhere. I'll play for the minimum, 50 million a year to vet minimum, just to go somewhere where I can be happy." Meaning he was unhappy on the Lakers. Because had he took the vet minimum, the Lakers would have been like, "Come back, this will be great." He refused to take the vet minimum there because he's unhappy, but he'll go somewhere else. Cool. Then we had the whole circus about where he's gonna go. And he said last week he already knew where he was gonna go. He came on the TV and said, "I know where I'm gonna go," with punk ass Halliburton, that podcast. And he says, "I know where I'm gonna go. There's clues out there, but I'm gonna tell y'all when I'm ready to tell y'all." That was a week ago. I mean, he knew a week ago and he just let it drag out. Now, finally, today, we get he made the decision to go to the 76ers for $4 million a year. Last year, he made 50 for $4 million a year. That's free for a guy like LeBron. And if you come on to this Sixer team, which has Maxey, there's three guys on this team that last year averaged 27 points a game. Three of them: Maxey, Jaylen Brown, who just came to the team in another wild trade, and Embiid. And now you're bringing LeBron. He's really going to be the fourth option on the Sixers. So it's either he's going to come to the Sixers and be the fourth option, or he's going to come to the Sixers and do the same thing he's been doing and say, "I'm 1A," and that's going to destroy that team. But my thing is, you would rather be the fourth option on the Sixers than be the third option on the Lakers. Why? Austin Reeves. LeBron James, for whatever reason, says, "I will never be a third option to Austin Reeves." Meanwhile, the whole time he's hugging Austin Reeves and "you're my man" and the whole thing, but his agent is out there going, "Austin Reeves should get traded or bring him off the bench, do something because LeBron needs room to play." And now he stepped off and took no money to go over here to Philly, which, by the way, nobody had him going to Philly, which is another thing I always talk about on this channel about pundits and experts. Every expert on ESPN, all the podcasts, Stephen A. and Windhorst and all these people, all Shams, they all knew what was going to happen. These people get paid millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to tell us their analysis and what's going to happen, and they don't know anything. Nobody had Philly on the radar. He could have went to Cleveland and finished up a real storybook ending. Cleveland boy comes back home to finish up his career. He has dissed Cleveland 3 times now. He left Cleveland and went to Miami and dissed them. Remember, they was burning his jersey and all of that? Then he left Miami, came back to Cleveland. "I'm back, everybody. Your boy is home." They won the championship, and he left again. Went to LA for 8 years. Twice he dissed them. Then now time to come back. Everybody's like, Cleveland. Everybody in Cleveland was like, "Yeah, this is it." And he dissed them to go to a team that he has no affiliation with. But he says it gives him the best chance to win a ring. Meaning he's ring chasing. This team, he said it today, "This team gives me the best chance to win a championship." That is ring chasing. And that is my problem that I have with LeBron James. the ring chasing, the passive aggressive, team ruining, the calling himself the greatest of all time. I can go down the list, but this is to me just a long list of things that are in character for him that I find to be very questionable. When you're talking about the greatest to ever do it, this is how the greatest to ever do it gets down running into a team that has three players that average 27 points a game, and then you win a championship and you're going to go, look at me. I got 5 rings. I'm not buying it, y'all. Philly Sheet, and those in Philly, they're going crazy in Philly right now. I'm saying, from what I observe, be careful what you wish for. They could win the championship. Matter of fact, if this team doesn't win the championship, it's going to be considered one of the biggest busts of all time. I think the biggest bust of all time was KD, KD, Kyrie, and Harden in Brooklyn was a disaster. Most super teams are a disaster. I think this is not going to work, but it remains to be seen. However, the question, whose team is it going to be now? If LeBron is this basketball genius that everybody says it is, he should be the fourth option at 42 years old. But to me, LeBron on character is going to try to be 1 or 1A. Mark my words here, so I'm saying it now in July. Now we're going to see if it comes true. I know I've talked a lot about LeBron, but it's the big story today, and I'd like to see what you guys think. Some of you guys may agree or disagree with me, but I don't think this makes Philly um it makes them the favorite on paper, but LeBron can also be a real problem. China Doll sent, what up? Just because, dear friend, LeBron and Philly, yeah. I'm not I'm not jumping up and down. Um Ty said, "There's a Philly fan in this room openly hating on LeBron. What a shame." You can throw. I'm not openly hating on LeBron. I am looking at his pattern of 20. We have 24-year sample size of LeBron, including last year. Um, and I'm saying the reason he left the Lakers is because he refused to be under Austin Reeves, and yet he smiles in his face all the time. I'm going to scroll all the way down so I can see some of you guys' comments. I know I've been running my mouth. Um, let's see. Hey, Boogie says Jaylen Brown is not playing second fiddle to LeBron. And that's another thing. Jaylen Brown wasn't happy playing second fiddle to Tatum. And Tatum was in his prime. Tatum is considered a better player. Well, Jaylen Brown had a career year last year, and he really could have been first team All NBA. Some people had him in the MVP conversation. I don't think he was an MVP, but he could have been first team NBA, either him or Cade Cunningham, depending on how you saw it. Detroit had a better record, so it went to Cade Cunningham, but it could have easily been Jaylen Brown in that fifth spot. I think if I'm Philly, that's who you should be jumping up and down about. Jaylen Brown is spectacular to me. Um, and he should be the number one go-to guy. And Maxey should be, well, if Joel Embiid, if he's healthy, somebody's going to have to take, two people on that team are going to have to take a back seat. Um, And the question is going to be, who is it going to be and how long is it going to take? Edgecombe hasn't even reached his prime yet. He's not in that circumstance. Edgecombe, for one, has already been moved to the fifth option. He was on a trajectory to be like an all-star level player, but now he's been pushed back a couple of years. One of Joel, Maxey, or LeBron is going to have to take back seats. LeBron has never taken a back seat in his 24 years. The coach had to tell him last year to do it, and he reluctantly did it, even though the team was winning. Is it going to be Joel Embiid? It's going to have to be Maxey and somebody else. LeBron will distribute the rock, got all the points he needs. Sidney Rhodes, that would be a great position to let LeBron basically run the point. We out on the outside looking in, that would be great. It remains to be seen. JT says, I agree. I like Austin Reeves, but I think he should have traded him at the high. I feel his year won't be good, everyone thinks. I think if he's the same as last year, minus the thing with Austin Reeves is really the playoffs. It's not the regular season. If he's the same, let's say everybody's healthy, Embiid, Austin, Luka, everybody healthy. If Austin Reeves is the same player that he was last year, he is worth every bit of the $40 million a year they're giving him. Every bit. And the whole team is being built around what works for Luka. And not only does Austin Reeves work for Luka, but Luka said, I want him here. See, now Austin Reeves on somebody else's team, you might say he might not have, he might not have been as good or whatever. But for this Laker team with Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves works. And I think LeBron could never swallow that. Jason Wall, Philly fans will turn on him quick if they struggle. Super quick. Philly got some of the toughest fans in all of sports. And first of all, they're going to struggle in the beginning just trying to feel themselves out. First 20 games, it's going to take 20 games just to see who's who. Fourth quarter in a close game, who gets the ball and who makes the decisions? You got 4 people that the ball could easily go through. Who's going to chill and get 2 touches in the fourth quarter? Who? I said, Gilly and Wallow are celebrating. Okay, he's going to be 42 years old this year. He's on the decline, but LeBron is still an all-star level player on the decline. But I don't know, man. I don't know. See, it's him. I have a problem with LeBron, not off the court. Off the court, he's been exemplary. I'm talking about on the court. I've always had a problem with LeBron. It's like I said, for 20 years. Maybe LeBron lowered his fee to help 76ers financially, bringing a few players he wants to join the team. No, that's possible, but no, he said, I will play. Nobody has any money left, really. Only team that has money left is Brooklyn. No, he said, I'll take the vet minimum to go win a championship. Period. He could have imagine had he said that last year on the Lakers. Imagine what kind of team they could have put together if he said, don't give me 50 million, give me 25 million and take that other 25 and go get some players. Imagine how better they would have been last year. Imagine right now the team that the Lakers just put together this year if LeBron had have said, I'm going back to the Lakers for $4 million. That team would be a contender. It's more than contender. If he had went to Miami, that team would have been better. They would have been probably the second best team in the East. If he had went to Cleveland, and now all of the pundits who were all wrong, every last one of them, 100% wrong, are now turning around this morning and saying, I think this is the best move for LeBron James. It makes the most sense. That's not what you said yesterday. I hate these dudes, y'all. Every last one of them. Johans, and the worst is Kendrick Perkins. He might even be worse than Stephen A. All of these loud mouths with all of their opinions, and they be so wrong, y'all. But all of this information and all of this money, they can't even get narrowed down to two teams? Patrick Wise says, I had LeBron going to Cleveland or Philly once JB got traded there. No JB, no LGB. Yeah, because Jaylen Brown gives you the best, and no one saw that. No, first of all, no one saw that coming 3 weeks ago. I guarantee you, Philly, like you said, Philly was not even on the radar until Jaylen Brown went to Philly, and then all of a sudden LeBron's like, oh shit, it's looking real over there. I could jump on. B-Ball says, to be fair, Philly was like 14% in the poll market. Exactly. And they be mad wrong too. B-Ball says, I really thought he was going back to Miami. Yeah, it was down to Cleveland and Miami. And he said he knew since last week. So he just dragged it out. All the other teams in NBA are waiting to see what he's going to do so they can make other moves. Even the commissioner of the NBA said the television, they're trying to do the TV schedule, and all the television broadcasters are holding up the schedule to see where he goes. Because if this is his last season, they want to put him on as much as possible. The NBA commissioner, everybody's waiting for this guy. And he's like, I don't care if you're waiting. Wait. I'm waiting for the time when I get the most exposure. He waited a whole week. For what? Till after the World Cup was over? VHS, if the experts actually knew, they'd show their predictions nonstop. They forget about those real quick. Yo, they will do a 360, a 180. They'll do a 180 in a heartbeat and act like they never said the things that they said. In a heartbeat. And I'm watching this like, dude, you just said this the other day with your chest poked out, all tough, yelling and screaming at the camera, and just switched. Yo, these dudes make millions. I think Stephen A is probably making over 10 million a year, probably. These people make millions and have zero information. They're better off just saying, yo, your guess is as good as mine. I'd rather that. Gergen said Philly Sheet is doing the Humpty dance when LeBron is in Philly now. Philly Sheet, I would love to know what you think. Uh, uh, Sidney Rose says LeBron and old owner Gilbert don't mix. Gilbert made some remarks first time LeBron left. Yeah, but he came back and won a championship again. Gilbert said a bunch of stuff. Cleveland was so upset, and he came back, and they still took him back. Imagine being in a relationship with somebody who dissed you 3 times. And in today's Twitter, he said, I still love Cleveland. That's my hometown, but I'm gonna go over here to Philly where I've never been in my life to get down with these dudes. And you know what's the crazy part? When LeBron goes to the Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famer, obviously, What hat is he going to put on? Don't let it be Cleveland. Cleveland, your boy is in the Hall of Fame. Watch, watch. No way. People says, are the Sixers now the best starting five in the East? What do you guys think? I think on paper they're the best starting five in the NBA. Period. Hey, Boogie, thank God he didn't sign with the Knicks. That's where I'm at. Dartmouth, Chuck D asked me if you would be a guest on his YouTube podcast. I just saw that today. Absolutely. Chuck has my number, by the way, but yeah, no problem. Yes, Sixers got the best team in the East on paper. I would love to see, but I want to see how it works out. I want to see the pecking order. That's what made the Knicks team great this year and beat all of those teams, including they blew Philly's doors off. Not only did they sweep Philly with Embiid and Maxey, but that game 4 to close it out, the Knicks won by like what, a 70? Anyway, what made this Knicks team great was the chemistry. Everybody knew each other and they knew the pecking order. Jalen Brunson is the one. He's going to take the tough shots. He's going to make the decisions. Cat, and if not Cat, then OG, then everybody else. And everybody bought in. See, you could have a pecking order that the coach can decide, but then when you have people that's disgruntled, it's not going to work. Everyone has to buy in. Is Jaylen Brown going to buy in? Well, we'll see. JT said, this is a great take, KP. Keep cooking. Thank you so much. I know everyone's not going to agree with me, but Dartmouth Sixers will have poor defense. No, yes. I think Jaylen Brown, when he wants to play D, is an elite defender. All the rest of them, Maxey can't guard anybody. Embiid, his knees, I don't know if he can move. LeBron can't guard anymore. I don't know, man. It remains to be seen. Philly She says LeBron is trash on defense, but the other 4 are adequate to strong defenders. I don't trust Maxey, Philly She. But possibly. Greg Ness, I'm surprised Kenny Parker have not worn a Knicks hat or jersey yet. Kenny is still skeptical at the Knicks? No. I'm shocked. I'm still shocked with the Knicks, and everything around here was sold out anyway. Deacon Strange, what up? Let me move down a little bit. LeBron is better than Austin Reeves. Sort of. But LeBron going to Philly is an acknowledgement that he's willing to play a subordinate role to other players. Then why didn't he just stay in LA then? Why didn't he do that in LA? They had to force him to. LeBron is better than Austin Reeves overall, but not last year. Not last year. Austin Reeves, I don't know. Y'all need to really go back and look at what Austin Reeves really did last year. I don't think y'all was really watching all of those games. Dude was dropping 50, 40, was going crazy without LeBron. Without LeBron, Austin Reeves is a different player. And LA is gambling that the Austin Reeves without LeBron, who averages 28, 6, and 6, will be that without LeBron. But he can be that next to Luka. So y'all also got to understand this next to Luka. LeBron and Luka don't match. How many games will Joel play? LeBron has sent it. Look, Joel, I'm going under 60. Patrick White, he felt he accomplished the mission in Cleveland. There was no need to go back. I don't think that's the case. I think everything LeBron has ever done is about LeBron. I don't really think he has as much allegiance to Cleveland as people think he does. Because if he did, I could even see if he organizes super teams in Cleveland. I could see him saying, "Yo, we here in Cleveland, y'all come on. D Wade, come with me. Bosh, come with me. AD, yo, come to Cleveland. We doing it over here." I could even understand that. He just up and left them. Really, this is the third time now. There was definitely a need to go back. And they all wanted him there. And he hinted, it could be, it could be. Man, get the hell out of here. Um, David also, Kenny, all of this NBA basketball talk. What about the WNBA All Star weekend? Let's not forget about them. Absolutely. I'm just not a fan of All Star games. All Star games, they play it like 30%, a lot of laughing and jokey. I don't like jokey basketball. Either you're going to play or you're not. And the All Star games when I was a kid, maybe I remember them differently, but they were more competitive. And especially in the second half, as the game moved on, dudes got real serious. Like NBA fourth quarters, dudes was playing. I remember Jordan wasn't playing with nobody in the All-Star game. Kobe Bryant wasn't playing with nobody in the All-Star game. There's certain guys that raised the level. But the NBA and WNBA All-Star games to me is so stupid that I can't even watch it. People taking half hook shots from three, it's just ridiculous. But yes, WNBA is having an All-Star game. KP LeBron should have gone to Golden State. There was all of that talk about him teaming up with with Curry. So much so that Draymond Green opted out of his contract and did not sign a contract to leave space for LeBron to come. He was waiting on it. They thought they had a chance too. Imagine Draymond said, "I will hold off my money to let my boy come here." And he said, "Yeah, I could or I couldn't." Then said, "You know what? Nah. That team is too old. LeBron would have to do a lot of extra work there." Sixers make sense in that he could be the fourth option. He doesn't have to average 20 something points a game. He could just basically distribute, run the point, and kind of be in position to win if he chooses to do that. Too many stars in Philly. Yep. Yep. T. Dyson says LeBron is completely happy playing point guard. He averaged 7 assists last year. I don't think he's completely happy playing point guard. I think he's completely happy controlling the game. He likes to have the ball and control the game. Now, whether that's shooting, passing, whatever he decides he wants to do. The only problem is they had Luka, who at this point is better at that. And Austin Reeves need the ball too. I don't think he's completely happy playing the point. I think that is passive aggressive. Reeves and Luka are going to thrive. Not sure if they make the playoffs though. Absolutely. The Lakers last year were a 3 seed when when he blew out his hamstring, they were a 3 seed, ended up the 4 seed with what's that dude at center? Oh my goodness, his name. Aiton. Aiton at center. Aiton was a sometimey mentally soft player. Their backup center, who I liked, I'm the worst with names. The dude that did the dunk between his legs, I liked him a lot. He left. I thought that team last year was flawed, and everybody was complaining about the flaws in that team. I think this team is better. The pieces that they got are better, and they were the 4 seed last year and won in the first round. They absolutely will make the playoffs. If everybody's healthy, they will make the playoffs. Mike Rock says, let LeBron run the point. His turnover ratio a real thing. No, you don't want to do their point. No way, Jose. Not at this stage. Sixers basically replaced Paul George with LeBron, which is a definite upgrade. No, they replaced Paul George with Jaylen Brown. That was the trade, Elroy. A spectacular trade. Yo, Paul George is gonna go down. He's borderline. They may throw him in the Hall of Fame. I don't know. He's been traded for SGA. He's been traded for, I believe, Kawhi, and now he's been traded for Jaylen Brown. Dudes have gotten fantastic players for this guy. Um, LeBron is an upgrade from Paul George, but that's not the trade. Uh, Joey Joe says 20 games to get them to feel who is who. Come on, son. Nah, it takes a while for chemistry. Some people says it takes a whole season for people to feel. You have to be in a bunch of different situations to get chemistry on the basketball court where you don't even have to think about it. You already know where everybody's going to be. You know the shots they like to take. You know their tendencies. You know the pecking order. It could be more than 20 games. It could be half the season. Um, he would have did better going to Miami. Um, Maybe, but that team would have been too front court loaded. They would have had no shooting. Giannis, Adebayo, and LeBron on the court at one time, you would just zone that team up, wall them up, and dare them to shoot. They would have been tough, though. Defensively, that team would have been tough, but T Dud, is the bubble considered a real championship? I consider it a real championship. Everyone played under the same conditions. It's like saying, I could see if some teams played in a bubble, some teams played in an arena, different things. Everybody played under the same conditions, and let's pick a winner. It's the same like the lockout year in '99. It was like, that's not a real championship. Why not? The season started late because of the strike. Everybody played the same amount of games. I think it was 50 or something. And then you had a playoffs. The Spurs won. It's real. If everybody played under the same conditions, it's real. I don't care if you play 10 games. Mark Love says, I'm born and raised in LA. It's good to get an LA opinion. I couldn't stand LeBum. He flops. He's arrogant. He doesn't have real team spirit. Brunson took less money so the Knicks could build a better team. LeBum never would have. That's the next thing. A lot of people in LA did not embrace LeBron, even after they won the championship and him having 8 years of all-star level play. They never embraced him. And it has a lot to do with the Kobe factor. The argument, I think a lot of LeBron's hate comes from, is he the greatest of all time? And they make you pick what team, what camp you're on. Are you in the Jordan camp? If it's so, you got to hate LeBron. Are you in the Kobe camp? If so, you got to hate LeBron and vice versa. I think if that conversation wasn't there, who's the best, and him saying he's the best, I think some of his hate would be down. Still, there's, like I said, he has questionable things, but I think a lot of people in LA did not embrace him because of the love they had for Kobe. And he came in there like, it's my house now, and I'm going to surpass Kobe Bryant here. And I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. He was like an op for all these years. Um, and now that he's gone, a lot of people rejoiced. Even I've seen some people in LA media saying they were surprised how happy people were that LeBron left. But he comes with a lot of antics. You got to have my son on the team and all kind of stuff. It's a lot with that dude. Um, but Philly seems ecstatic, which is good. Philly She, the Lakers wouldn't be a contender with LeBron. They haven't been a contender since the bubble, aka scrimmage championship. See, I don't believe that. I think a contender to me, each year, by the end of the year, there's about 4 or 5 contenders. And to me, a contender is like a Final Four level team. Once you get to that Final Four, anything could happen. There's probably like 5 or 6 teams that, to me, have a legitimate chance at the Final Four. Last year, the Lakers were a 3 seed in the West. They had a legitimate chance. If they didn't get hurt, I would have loved to see that team. I don't think they would have beat OKC, but I think it would have been a way more competitive if Luka and Austin Reeves were healthy. And I think this team right now, today, if you put LeBron at the 4, has a very good chance to win. I think OKC is not as good as they were last year. And San Antonio, which people are considered like the 1 or 2 best teams in the league, y'all know I don't trust Wemby, so I think LA had as good a chance as any last year. Not as good a chance as any, a good chance. Nobody had the Knicks as a championship contending team. Y'all remember that? The Knicks were favored to lose in every single playoff series they were in. Remember when the Knicks were down 2-1 to Atlanta? Remember how everybody was like, we should trade Jalen Brunson and make the team about Cat? Y'all remember that? That was only a few months ago. And then the Knicks went on this run. They beat Atlanta. They were supposed to lose to Philly. They swept them. They were supposed to lose to Cleveland. And this is not just people talking. This is the bet. This is Las Vegas, who's supposed to have the best predictors in sports, because this is about money, had the Knicks losing to Cleveland, swept them. There's no way the Knicks were going to beat San Antonio, and had the gentleman sweep. Even game 5, the Knicks were up 3-1, and they still had San Antonio winning that game. So to say who's a contender and who's not, you don't know until later on in the season. You just don't know. Nobody had the Knicks. I don't care who you talk. Nobody had the Knicks coming out of the East. I don't care what anybody says. B-Ball says, KP, I don't like Perkins either, but he was the only pundit who said Brunson was that dude when he first signed and everybody was bashing the Knicks. You are correct. He did say Brunson was going to be dope. That is one of the few things Perkins did say that was correct. KP, Giannis and Pat Riley didn't want LeBron. I kind of heard that too, but I'm not sure. They said Giannis never even reached out to LeBron. Sweet Goldilocks, what's up? Um, Pennsylvania governor gave him a LeBron day. Yeah, today is LeBron day. An official dude been there a few hours, and the governor has already given it LeBron day. They have a whole day dedicated to him. I hope it works out. I have no horse in that race because I don't really care for hardly anybody on that Philly team. Is not any of my favorites, even though I think Jaylen Brown is fantastic. But none of the teams that I like, he's on. So we'll see if he wins. See, the problem is if he wins, he's supposed to win with that team. But if he loses, they're gonna eat them alive. Hey, Boogie says, yeah, I think that's why I think guys in the barbershop can talk better basketball than ESPN nowadays. And that's shocking. That is shocking. Ilroy says, I used to have ESPN on my TV 24 hours a day until these debate shows started. Now, the only time I watch is for sporting event. Yeah, I agree. Thank you for your contribution to the channel, Ilroy. Yeah. Now it's all debate shows and opinion shows. And they're not even dope opinions. I'd see if these guys are giving us incredible insight. They're not no better than us. Philly Sheet says, Kenny, I said very early in the chat, I am pissed. I threw my headset this morning when my son came and told me he's hired here. Philly Sheet, are you in the minority? Interesting, Philly Sheet. You know, Savannah didn't want to go to Philly. I mean, they have a whole compound in LA. But when you're that rich, anywhere you go, you could turn it into a castle. He can rent or buy a home or rent a home that is so ridiculous that he won't even notice he's not in LA. I mean, except for the weather, you know. I mean, LA has certain things that no one else has, but I'm saying style of living. But yeah, I see what you mean. Wow, Kenneth Smith says Stephen A. Wow, is this true? Stephen A. Smith makes approximately $40 million per year when combining his multi-year broadcasting contracts and independent media ventures. 40 million. Wow. And this is what we get. Wrong take after wrong take after wrong take. Patrick Watt says LeBron going back to Cleveland after Gilbert verbally dissed him is like going back with your woman after you caught her in bed with two of your best friends. Yeah, but he went back. That's what I'm saying. Gilbert and all them dissed him when he went to Miami, and he went back. And even now, Cleveland was like, come, come. I think that would have been a great, that would have been a nice ending to me. Win or lose, that would have been a great ending. He came back to Cleveland and rode with them to the end. T. Dyson, Kenny, you have an old school mentality about sports. A player has to be synonymous with one team. But in global sports like the NBA, people root for players, not teams. I might have an old school mentality about sports when, to me, the greatest people I've ever seen spent a large portion of their careers on one team. And they took their teams to war. They didn't join up with the enemy after they lost. They took their teams. I got my 5, you got your 5, let's go. In any sport, even out in the park when you're just choosing teams, for those that play pickup ball, when you're choosing teams, they usually get the 2 best players and say, y'all choose. Because you don't want the 2 best players in the park on the same team. That's corny. So the two best players pick four, and then we go ball. I mean, sure, there's tons of people that'll vote for players, not teams. I'm one of them. But I say that to say, when you're talking about the greatest, see, we're not just talking about players and different, we're talking about GOATs and putting people at the highest echelon of sport. How can you be that jumping from team to team, super team to super team? How? I could be old school. I am old school. Nick teams had no egos. Teams can learn from that. Yeah. A lot might have to do with three of them played with each other in college. Um, yeah. Bobby says, KP, you spitting facts. Thank you. I mean, I know some people are going to disagree, but that's, we just talking. It's all opinions. Let me scroll down. I'm going to do a Benny Doyle scroll down because I'm behind. Roger says, AZ Fudd is killing this three-point contest, as you would expect. She's a deadly shooter, man. I think when it's all said and done, she's going to go down as one of the great shooters ever. And I've seen great college women basketball shooters fizzle out in the pros, but as a rookie, her mechanics are almost perfect. And she worked out with Steph Curry, who says she's the best shooter he's ever seen. Steph Curry said that. The best shooter we've ever seen. Isaiah Wishbone, KP, the rise of hip hop from New York blackout in 77. Your thoughts? It's in the book. I go through the blackout and the whole journey from what I saw live in the book. I don't know if you read the book or not, but if you haven't, please pick it up. KP, what's your favorite new school rapper? I don't know if I have a favorite new school rapper. There's this one guy. Yo, I can't believe how much I forget people's names. Wordsmith, Locksmith, Wordsmith. He be rhyming in the car, and he'll have different people in the car with him. And y'all killed me on the channel because y'all was like, he's not new. He's new to me. I just discovered him in the past like year and a half, but I like him a lot. I wouldn't know if you consider him new school. He's not new school, but of these young boys, I don't have a guy. AZ Fudd just won a three-point contest. No surprise. How did my girl Marina Mabry do? Um, yeah, B-Boy. Jackson Hayes and Aiton. God, I couldn't remember Jackson Hayes' name. That's terrible. I be having these name blankouts when I'm on here. I remember all the names when I get off. I said I was going to scroll down a little bit. Let me jump down. I just jumped like 30 comments, y'all. Um, I want to talk a little bit about hip hop, but I just want to get some last little comments in here. Jack says, so we supposed to go drink wine and flop, but be passive aggressive about flopping LeBron. It complete, yeah. All that's in the mix. All that's in the mix. Um, I agree with this 100%, Jack Swagger. Skip Bayless, another clown, and Stephen A. Smith shock jock types killed sports broadcasting. Just like I felt like it killed radio traditional radio broadcasting, shock jocks, loud mouths, talk real loud, but there's not a lot of, when you really look at their substance, they be wrong a lot, but it sounds convincing because they're the loudest people in the room. Speaking of that, last week I went on my Jay-Z rant, and I spoke briefly last week. I think I noticed that Memphis Bleak, who I don't know, has a podcast, and last week he was going on about one of Jay-Z's talking points about we people who criticize Jay-Z have selective outrage about Target. That was one of Jay-Z's talking points. Now, just yesterday, I saw he had my song on, and they are now the new talking point this week is they're now continuing to slander Colin Kaepernick about him accepting money. And I always say, y'all, on this channel, watch when people move the goalpost and change the subject matter. Watch these people. It's very hard to tell when somebody has an agenda because we're all on here talking and really it's just opinions. But I want you guys, so it's like, how can you tell when someone might be trying to send you in a direction? I always say one of the ways you could tell is moving the goalpost. And the goalpost for Colin Kaepernick has been moved to, he took money from the NFL. That's the new goalpost. He took money, so why are you mad? And then anybody could take money, which I don't think is exactly what happened. But my son came on and I saw him saying how he was riding with Kaepernick and did the whole, basically his argument was when Kaepernick came out with the kneeling, my son and his organization backed Kaepernick, so much so that they were out there protesting. They were right there with Kaepernick, doing their community work, which is dope, and hats off to my son. And then he said one day Kaepernick just stopped talking to them, stopped responding to anybody, got out of the group chat. Kaepernick was in a group chat, jumped out of the group chat and disappeared for like 2 weeks. And then he reappeared with a deal with the NFL and an NDA. And my son is saying, I'm not mad that he took the money, which is the same thing Jay-Z said, but the way he just didn't say anything, cut everybody out, they thought it was whack. Which I can hear some argument that if my son and his people were following the lead of Kaepernick, and then all of a sudden he decided to do a deal with the NFL and not say anything, I can see where you would have something to say about that. I said, okay, cool, my son. But my problem is this. Let's say what my son said is true. Let's say they were out there protesting on behalf of Kaepernick, and then he switched up and took money. And they're saying that he did not sign an NDA, but let's say he did. What does that have to do with two things? The fact that Kaepernick still in the beginning stood up in front of the world representing all of us and brought attention to police brutality and lost everything. And it reminds me of the guy, you ever see the story about the guy from the 1968 Olympics who put his fist up in the air with the black glove and the fist up in the air at the Olympics to protest civil rights? And he was blacklisted when he came home. He lost everything. His job, his future earnings, his wife left him. He lost everything to do that. And that was 1968. We had not had a person probably since then to make such a stance for our people until Colin Kaepernick did what he did. What does Colin Kaepernick doing settling with the NFL for money that he felt he rightfully deserved for being blackballed, which I believe he deserved the money. Everybody believed he deserved the money. What does that have to do with him standing up over here. You're moving the goalpost to now he took the money. That means he didn't do this over here. And then number two, what does that have to do? Colin Kaepernick deal with the NFL. What does that have to do with Jay-Z, who injected himself without being asked into the Colin Kaepernick situation, said, we got it from here. That was his thing. We got it from here. I got you. We're not kneeling no more. I got this. Then we said, okay, Jay-Z got this. And what did he do? He said, okay, we're going to do a deal with the NFL and we're going to start doing halftime shows. Problem solved. What does one thing have to do with the other? And that's when I noticed they're moving the goalposts over here. Be careful for people that move the goalposts, y'all. But shout out to my son. If he was out there doing dirty work, I have nothing but respect for that. If he felt like Colin Kaepernick did not explain himself properly for his moves, he has every right. And that's the same argument I have. I'm from what I see, Jay-Z is not really explaining himself properly. His explanation is, I don't have to say nothing to you. I got $1 billion. Anyway, moving right along. I've actually been ranting today on the low. It's 9:31. We are in overtime, y'all. For those that's new to the channel, anything after 9:30 is considered overtime. This is the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. Okay, I'm about 10 minutes behind. I want to talk a little hip hop if we can. Never Edification said Locksmith. That's his name. I said Wordsmith. Locksmith, wordsmith, what's the difference? I was close. I had a Smith in there. Smith. B-Boy says Locksmith from the Bay. I know he's been out for a minute, but I like that guy a lot. Benny Doyle said King Von. Wow. Dina's even Jordan said, I don't want to be Bird or Magic teammate. I want to beat them. Yeah. That's how I was brought up. I don't want to be your teammate. What fun is that? I want to beat you. Win or lose. And you shake the person's hand if you lose. Yo, y'all won fair and square. Not join them and then beat everybody else and then say, I'm the greatest to ever do it. I have a problem with that. Maybe I am old school. But as a competitor, I just don't see it. I said I want to talk about hip hop, but I'm seeing these comments. A Boogie says the Jay-Z glazing from adults is cringeworthy. Yeah, I love his music though. Me too. I mean, we all glaze great celebrities, and we glaze LeBron and Jordan and great actors, you know, De Niro, whoever's great and people we like, we glaze. That's human nature. We glaze politicians and kings and queens and presidents and businessmen who make a lot of money. That's human nature. But sometimes you have to separate yourself from the glaze. Sometimes you got to know, I'm glazing right now. Let me chill and look at this objectively and see if I agree. Let me take off the rose-colored glasses and really look at this. Nevet said, MFs can miss me with that selective outrage-ish. Because as far as I'm concerned, no matter what you do, You have to deal with a shady corporation, one way or the other. Another life is not just about, it's not just about Target. You're right. No matter what you do, you have to deal with a shady corporation. I agree. But also, and I say that to say that was the argument that Jay-Z was saying. Why are you mad at Target when you use Google and YouTube and this one and that one? But I don't agree with that because I brought up this. I'm not gonna. If y'all, when did I have my rant? Was that 2 shows ago? Last Friday. Was it last Friday? I want you guys to go back and look at that. I'm not gonna regurgitate what I said, but you have to pick your battles. The Art of War by the great, what's his name? I can't get the names right. One of the greatest books ever written, a book that every general, they teach in all army schools and around the world. It's been studied by every military leader. This book, this dates back thousands of years, and the teachings still apply now. And you can use it in business, life, and anything. In the Art of War, it talks about knowing in a battle, knowing your enemy, picking the time when you want to battle. It says when you're fighting a superior foe, you cannot battle them on their terms. You will lose. And history shows that you pick and choose the weak points, and you pick when to fight and when to retreat. That's how you beat a superior foe. You don't charge them head on, you're going to lose. You pick spots where you think they're vulnerable, hit and run back, hit, run back, hit, run back. If you look at all of these corporations and you pick one, we pick Target based on their, and I don't even know who we is, but somehow black people pick Target because of their immediately embracement of DEI, whatever that means now. Um, you don't have to fight every corporation. All you need to do is make one of them bleed, and the rest of them will see not only that you're formidable enough to make somebody bleed, but they don't want that smoke either. You can make change not by fighting everyone in a crew, but by fighting certain people. It's not how many people you hit, it's who you hit. And so to call it selective outrage, I think it's selective strategic strikes. You don't, in a war, you don't have to bomb a whole country. You pick certain targets. Oh, play on words. And I think if you what if the boycott of Target, which they definitely noticed, is successful, it has ripple effects across all of business. So to say if you're not going to fight everybody, then you shouldn't fight nobody goes against the art of war as I understand it. And a guy as intelligent as Jay-Z understands that too. Once again, we're moving the goalpost, y'all. Be careful for people who move the goalpost. B-Boy says Cap sued the NFL. That was a settlement. Absolutely. Um, but they're spinning it to make it seem like he took money to be quiet. I'm glad you picked up on that, B-Boy Joneson. Benny Doyle says Kaepernick was never not a great quarterback. I loved him in his college days. Shout out to Nevada. Was not a great quarterback. Maybe he wasn't great, but he was good enough to be in the league. And his career got cut short. And his argument was his career got cut short when he was able to play based on his stance outside of the field. Well, it was on the field, but based on his stand, his protest, he was blackballed, and he was willing to go to court with it. And the NFL was like, no, we're not going to court with this. Um, that's how I see it. Jay-Z could have given a gift to all mom and pop record stores. Yes, he could have. I love a lot of his music, but he's just another out of touch billionaire. I think he's an in touch billionaire. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. It seems like what he's doing is so out there sometimes that it seems tone deaf, but I think he's more calculated than that. Him and his team is smarter than that. He knows exactly what he's doing. And you're right, he could have chose to give a gift to mom and pop stores, but he wouldn't have made the money that he made. Um, T. Dyson Kidney, I respect your opinion about Cap, but Cap contradicted himself by whipping the NFL and other players in it. Then he cried about not being able to get back into the league. I don't remember him ripping the NFL. Maybe he did, man. Maybe he was mad because of the way he was treated after his. Maybe he never thought he was going to get blackballed after he kneeled. He probably thought I was going to kneel, make this statement, and continue on. And then after he got blackballed, maybe he ripped him and other players. That's legitimate. I don't know if he contradicted himself though, because I'm still going back to the original stance. I'm not going back to whatever happened after. I'm going back to the original stance. He kneeled to bring attention to police brutality and against black people by white officers, mostly in the community, which we've been crying about for decades. That's what he did. Anything after that is another conversation to me. And you can't say if he didn't handle this the way you thought he should handle it, mean that this didn't really happen. Black people never really got brutalized by police because he took the money over here. No, that's two separate things. Jay-Z's self-serving agenda is transparent at this point. Deal with it or not. Uh, um, yeah, we got to deal with it or not. Yeah. Lindell, KP, glad the decision discussion is over. Well, I'm glad that you're glad that the discussion is over. It might not be over because if I see a comment that I think is relevant, I'm going to go back to it. But at this moment, um, I wanted to talk about something else. Uh, Jack Swagger said, folks like my son also took money and were criticized. If you're pointing fingers, make sure your hands are clean. Yeah, I mean, I don't know my son. I don't know, what his story is, so I'm not really going to comment on it. But um, I'm just going by what I saw in his clip. 1212, what up? Thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. What up, KP? Here's some hip hop for you. Do you know Special Ed, and how do you see him or his place in hip hop? Of course, I know Special Ed. Um, First of all, the story I know about Special Ed is when KRS first came out, Criminal Minded first came out. KRS was living in Brooklyn, East Flatbush, East 26th Street, I believe, at the home of Miss Melody. He was staying with Miss Melody's family. And word got out that KRS-One from Boogie BDP lived on the block. So people was knocking on the door all the time. One of the people who knocked on the door was Special Ed with his demo, trying to be down with BDP. And for whatever reason, I don't know, it didn't work out. But Special Ed would have, and I believe I got it made, might have been on that demo. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out. So special ed and BDP goes back to criminal minded. Special ed for me goes back even further than that because I used to, for those that have the book, know that I was a member of the Flatbush Boys Club as a youth, very influential place in my life. And I was also a counselor, and a few of my friends were counselors. And special ed was one of the kids at the Flatbush Boys Club. And a couple of my friends were his counselors. I think I left right before special ed came, but they have pictures of special ed as like 14, 13, 14 years old in the boys club. Matter of fact, one of my friends sent me the picture and I sent it to special ed. Um, so I was around. He might have even been there when I was there, but I don't remember him like that because I was a counselor and there was a bunch of kids in the summertime. But so I go back with special ed to when he was a child. Now, fast forward to 90 something, special ed was producing. I went to his house. Special ed used to live on what we call the Junction in Brooklyn, Flatbush, Nostrand and Flatbush, around the Junction. I went to special ed's crib and he played me beats. I know this is around, he did some songs for Tupac, I believe. It was around that time. I went to special ed's crib. So I know special ed a long, long time. Shout out to Ed. Now, where's his place in hip hop? A dope MC in the late 80s, early 90s. Um, I would have him on like a B tier at that time. And I Got It Made at one point was one of the biggest records in the city. That was one of the hottest records of 1989. Matter of fact, I would put that in New York as a top 5 record of 89. That was a huge record in New York. And he shot the video at the high school that he went to, Erasmus Hall High School, which is across the street from the Flatbush Boys Club and around the corner from where I used to live. I was supposed to go to that high school. For those that got the book, I'm giving y'all, y'all know what I'm talking about. He shot that video in front of that high school. So to answer your question, I'm very familiar with special ed. I have him on like a tier down from the top tier. Okay, let me jump. And let me scroll down a little bit more. The BDP medallion isn't coming out today. No, it's not. It's close though. A Boogie says stick and move. Yeah, um that's really the art of war in its essence. To defeat a superior foe, you can't just charge them with, you got 500 guys, they got 50,000. You can't win. But 500 guys can cause 50,000 a lot of problems, even defeat them if you use strategic maneuvers. Most memorable time with Scott LaRock. It's in the book. Uh, Jeff Rocker says DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yeah, I know what it meant originally, but that whole terminology has got morphed into racism. It's the same as what woke originally meant. When I think Erica Badu is one of the people that coined that phrase, what it originally meant and what it ended up meaning. Same with DEI. They don't want to use the N word, but so they'll use DEI. Riding Dirty Face, salute KP. Have a good evening. What up, Riding Dirty Face? Benny Dog, Kenny, my comment said never not a great quarterback. Not never a great quarterback. Oh, I thought you said he wasn't a good quarterback. My bad. Uh, KP, any Curtis Blow stories? No, I've met Curtis Blow a few times. He's been super cool, but I've never chilled with him. I've never even had a real conversation with Curtis Blow. Just, hey, how you doing? Good to see you, Kurt Blow. Never chilled with him. Cap was a decent quarterback. He led the 49ers to the Super Bowl. That's pretty decent. Let's see. At least Cap did something. I agree. And what he did was actually monumental, historic. The other last week he did something. He put his money up to help that young boy get the autopsy, which they're now saying is inconclusive. The young boy that got they're saying accidentally ended out in, is it Florida, I believe? Um just the other day he's still um fighting for justice. Any artist BDP passed on? Well, it wouldn't be BDP, it would be KRS. um, I'm sure. Like I said, for me, have I ever got, first of all, have I ever had a demo that I passed on that somebody became dope? No, no. I would say there's artists that I met that I might have had a chance to work with had I gone harder, but I didn't see them becoming what they became. For example, did y'all see my Epic Fails Big Pun edition? Classic example. KP goes back with special ed since he was a little Ute. Yes. Yes. Uh, Hey Boogie, nah KP. I played ball at the ball club and Erasmus was in walking distance from the crib. Yeah, Erasmus was right across the street from the boys club. Across the street, it's diagonal. I used to live around the corner. And I played ball. First of all, I knew all the ball players, not all, but most of them on the team when I was in high school. And I played ball in the summertime. They had Erasmus Center where everybody could come in there and play ball. That's where I met Nate Tiny Archibald. He came in there and played ball with us. He came and played ball in there, and Dean the Dream Meminger, rest in peace. He came and played ball with us in there from the Knicks. KP, remember the 45 King remix of I Got It Made? Fire, yes. That's the one where he says, I got paid and paid and paid and paid. I got it made. Didn't 45 King use that same beat on Latifah's album? Doom, 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 Dope. Rock Justice, the term woke and the phrase stay woke were popularized in part by a famous 1938 blues song, though the expression dates back even earlier in the African American vernacular. Thank you, Rock Justice. I just remember Erica Badu was saying that she brought it into the modern, she said it in her a song or an interview, and she kind of brought it to the modern world. But you are correct, I believe. Cap and Tyler Perry helped. We are in overtime, y'all. We're getting these last comments in. Um, Special Ed had a Honda scooter, about 20 or more. Unsure why he needed so many. I know, right? For him and his friends. I got it made. He had a gold bone too, right? Or something. His dog had a gold bone. Patrick White, KP, you got to get the Sham God book. He has the best Tiny Archibald story ever. I would love to see that. I'm at the very bottom. B-Boy says yes. It was the business like remix, and yes, he used it again. Yeah, that's what it was called. I love that remix. Red Alert used to play that all the time. Let's see. Yeah, Rosmel, white supremacists use woke and DEI as a synonym for the N word. Exactly. Whenever you see them use DEI or something like that, that you know what they're talking about. Uh, let's see. I just moved up a little bit because I wanted to get these comments. We're in OT, y'all. We waiting on the Epic Win series. It's going to be called For the Win. I still got one more epic fail I think I want to do. I don't know if it's an epic fail or it's a win. I got to decide because it's a fail and a win in it together. I got one, so I'm not sure if it's which one it is, but I'm going to record it next week. Um, KP, any DJ Hollywood stories? No, I never met DJ Hollywood at all. What's your favorite beat or sampler maker? You can see right over my shoulder here is an SP1200. What's your favorite city? London. Love London. I don't know why, but I do. Um, KP, Low End Theory album is still good for my soul in 2026. It'll always be good for my soul. It's part of my DNA. Y'all know how much I love Native Tongue on this channel. Any Dr. Butcher stories? No, never met Dr. Butcher. Philly or Newark? I spent a lot of time in Newark hanging out. Newark is rough. I mean, Philly's rough too, but Philly concert-wise, we've done some of our dopest shows in Philly. Philly has a dope hip-hop scene. I'm gonna go Philly. It's either or. I'm gonna go Philly because we did most shows there. The UK has a huge hip-hop scene. Yes, they do. KP, did you ever use the original SP12? Was there much difference? No, I did not, although I believe Criminal Minded was done on the SP12. Shout out to said G. I think the difference is in the floppy disk. I'm not sure because I never used it. By the time I got to touch a SP1200 was like 89, 90. Patrick Wild love London, so he can say bruh. KP love London, so he can say bruv and in it. You got the food. Shout out to Top Boy. Should rap battles be off the head rhymes or with writtens? What do you prefer? I think whatever it takes. Sometimes people mix off the head and written together so you can hardly tell. Whatever it takes, man, to win. Let's see. I'm at the very bottom, so I'm seeing you guys' comments in real time. Barbara Streisand went to Erasmus. Yep. Quite a few people went to Erasmus. Shout out to Babs. I know Erasmus was different when she went there from when I was around. By All Means Necessary or Ghetto Music? By All Means Necessary is one of my favorite albums ever. So I love how on Bugging Out, Fife started his lyrics at the end of the bass, changing the start of the record in two places. Yeah, that's just a great. Fife was in at his peak on Low End Theory, I feel. Uh, yeah, I think the emergence of Fife really took Tribe to the next level. And I think Fife's voice contrast with Q-Tip is what separates them from even De La and Jungle was Fife. Low End Theory over Midnight Marauders, two incredible albums. I would lean Low End Theory slightly. It's just preferences. KP, next year is the 50th anniversary of the New York City blackout. That's wild. They should do a whole thing on it. We was in them streets. For those that got the book, know what I mean? Fife is another MC people don't talk about. Yeah, they just talk about Tribe, and he's in the midst of Tribe. It's 10 o'clock, y'all. I'm about to jump off. Getting you guys' last comments in. Ever work with an ASR 10? No. No. Uh, Cypress Hill or Naughty. Wow. All of those guys are super cool with BDP. I gotta go Naughty because Uptown Anthem is one of my favorite records of all time. But I Want to Get High by Cypress Hill is one of my favorite records of all time too. So that's a tough one, but I'm gonna go Naughty. Midnight Marauders is always in heavy rotation. Absolutely. Nah, KP. Fight for Midnight was insane, and the FU work plus Chiali stuff. I just thought his best work was on Low End Theory. That's just my opinion. He was dope on Midnight Marauders too, but I thought his coming out party was Low End Theory. Y'all gotta remember before that, Q-Tip was 99% of the lyrics. Um, all right, I'm jumping off, y'all. KP, any UMC stories? Wow. I guess you did not see my epic, it's not an epic fail. I did this 2 years ago. KRS-One versus the UMCs is on this channel. Go back and check that out. Whole thing. Cutie Pie, hello. KP, did you go to Walt Whitman Junior High School on Beverly Road? Gotta get the book, y'all, man. God, please. Tretch has the hardest walk in hip hop history. I saw him at a New Jersey Nets game back in the day. How about a Freddie Fox story? Well, Freddie Fox was a guest on this channel last year. Me and Freddie Fox went back and forth. Please check that out, Trident. Freddie was on for an hour and a half. He talked to us. Um, Robert Trawell, peace, Kenny Parker, peace. All right, let me get off. Because it's after 10 o'clock. I'm taking it too far. We're going too far. Benny Doyle says, are you the brother of KRS? I'm going to leave it right there. You know, Benny Doyle, surprisingly, I get that question more than you would think on this channel. Especially when I do videos, not for the live, like when I do a whole, like an epic fail or something like that, or a video, I get a bunch of questions like that. Matter of fact, I get people saying, who is this guy trying to look like KRS? I've gotten a bunch of those dissing me. Oh my God. All right, I'm out. I'm gonna leave it right here. CMC says, great show. I'm gonna leave it right there. All right, y'all. Let me make it small. Let me see if make sure I got all the chats in. I did. All right, we out. God willing, Tuesday. Could you believe July just blew by this fast, man? Sheesh. This year is flying. All right, y'all. God willing, on Tuesday, we will all see each other. All right, peace.